Hey there, fellow CEOs. I'm Carolee, an operations specialist and the CEO behind the Productivity Impact, and of course, the host of this wonderful podcast. Today, I'm taking you on a bit of a journey. Okay, my journey to be exact. We're going to be diving deep into the exhilarating chaos of the rapid business growth, the crushing weight of overwhelm, and the pivotal moment when I decided to take control and build a sustainable, scalable business. So trust me, if you're a CEO feeling the pressure to scale while maintaining your sanity, this episode is for you. Okay, and so my journey with business started innocently enough, as most of ours do. In year one, it was all about dipping my toes in the water, just kind of giving it a little bit of a test. But then in year two, things exploded. Clients were pouring in, opportunities were knocking on every door, and suddenly I was scaling faster than I could blink. It was exhilarating, to be honest, this rapid growth. But I was riding a wave of excitement, fueled by adrenaline and a thrill of building something incredible, right? Every entrepreneur's dream, right? But beneath the surface, things were actually starting to crack. My to-do list grew longer by the minute. Emails had piled up in my inbox, and I was constantly juggling 5 million things. Okay. I was operating in a state of constant chaos, fueled by absolutely sheer willpower and an unhealthy dose of caffeine. And at the time, coffee to be exact. Still to this day, we added some tea in now too. But the pressure was immense. I felt like I was constantly chasing my tail. You know how I'm picturing my dog chasing his tail the other day? Anyway, I always felt behind, always playing catch up, right? I hate it. Every day was a fire drill, and I was the one putting out all the fires, right? I was exhausted, I was exhilarated, but I was also terrified at the exact same time. And so the toll began to show. I was constantly on the verge of burnout. Sleep was a distant memory, kind of like back to when I had a newborn. And my mental health was taking a serious hit. And I was trapped in my own business. The thing that I created. I was a prisoner of my own success at that time. I was the bottleneck, the single point of failure. If I couldn't keep up, the whole thing would come crashing down. I actually remember a time when everything came crashing down because there was no one for me to rely on. And so I remember vividly this very day that it hit me. Okay, I was sitting at my desk. I was surrounded by an incredibly long to-do list, feeling completely overwhelmed and utterly defeated. As I was sitting there, tears had just filled my eyes, and I realized at that moment that I couldn't keep going like this. And I thought my dream might have it was a blink, like, it's okay, it's just not going to happen. But this wasn't sustainable. This wasn't the life that I had envisioned for myself. This wasn't the business that I had envisioned for myself. This is not why I became an entrepreneur. Okay? So I faced a tough choice that day. Shut it down completely, face reality and my limitations, or I could find a way to break free from this obviously self-imposed prison, right? I did it to myself. Giving up was never an option. Really, since like when I married my husband and I said divorce was never an option, right? We're in this for the long haul. So I decided to take control of the situation, right? And right there was the turning point, right? Everything had just fallen apart. I had to make an impossible decision, which felt like an impossible decision at the time, right? And so I knew something needed to change drastically. And what my business was missing at that time was a foundation. So I needed to build a foundation, a system that would allow me to scale sustainably without sacrificing everything, including my sanity. And so the first step to actually doing this when I was at my lowest point in my business was acknowledging what my limitations were, what my capacity was. And I couldn't do it all myself. Like, I needed help. And I also need to kind of take that into your personal life too. You can't do it all yourself. You need help. So you need help in every aspect of your life in some shape or form. So just remember that you can't do it all yourself and that you need help. And that's okay. That's a strength. And so I took a deep breath and I hired my first team member. All right. Now we're actually fast forwarding a couple of years from when that first turning point was. That first turning point actually involved me learning a whole bunch about systems and really figuring out exactly what I needed as at the time, coach, but also service provider, right? What did I need? And it also meant, what did I need in a team? What could I delegate, right? There was a lot of figuring things out for a few years, just a couple years. And then I hired my first team member because I was terrified to delegate, okay? And I was still terrified when I hired my first team member. And these are the thoughts that were going through my head. And they might be going through your head if you have or you're looking at hiring a team member. What if I couldn't trust them? Right? What if they couldn't deliver? Right? What if? That was the key there. What if, what if, what if? If we're focusing on the what ifs, we're not focusing on the future. All right? Not the reality of the future anyway. But I knew it was necessary to hire that first team member, so I took the plunge. Unfortunately, it did not work out in my favor. However, I now have an amazing team that I do trust and I know that can deliver. All right. So that is the first time you might not get it right? Just like your business. The bottom fell out of my business. I didn't quite get it right, but I stood back up, I took control and I fixed it. Same with a team member. Oh, I had to let go of that team member. And that doesn't mean we're never going to hire another team member. We still already know we can't do it ourselves. That means that we are going to end up trusting again. All right. There's that little side note. Okay. So after, having that team member, I also already implemented some of the systems, but in depth, the next came the systems, like really digging into implementing all the systems. I'd implemented project management tools. I'd created standard operating procedures for every task imaginable at that point. And there's still some as we are growing that have to be created, right? And I meticulously documented every process. Now, are they all fancy? No. Are they like absolutely every single detail? No. Do they need revised because I bring on more team members? Yes. But let's be real. I'd love to tell you that's exactly what I did in the exact same order, right? Every single task imaginable is documented and every single process was, but there's still work to be done, right? And so even as an ops person, there is still some work to be done. So no matter what you do, there is still work to be done. There are still ways for you to improve, right? So just kind of take that as your encouragement today, is that there's always going to be work to be done. So be proud of the work that you already have done. Okay. And so slowly but surely, after I started implementing these project management tools, the SOPs, all these things, the team members, I started to regain control of my business, my life, all the things. And the chaos began to subside that I've been experiencing for far longer than I'd like to admit. Right. And I replaced it by a sense of order and predictability. And I was finally able to delegate effectively at that point, trusting my team to handle tasks while I focused on the high-level strategy and serving my clients. And you know what? As I've said already, it's working. The constant burnout I was experiencing had finally lifted, and I was back in control, and my business is thriving. So now I want you, and also next week, I just want to kind of tell you, there's a reason why a lot of these other things that I was experiencing, why it took me years to figure out. And I'm going to share that story with you next week. So make sure you pop in next week to learn all about that one. Okay. And so now I work with scaling coaches and service providers, right? I have up-leveled myself from strictly solopreneurs to scaling coaches and service providers and those six-figure CEOs to streamline their operations, helping them free up their time and energy for high-level tasks and strategic thinking. I also ensure my own business runs smoothly with the incredible support of my amazing team. And so me thinking back to that moment when I wanted to give up, I am so grateful that I did not, because I'm worthy of the success that I'm experiencing and worthy of the more success that will happen as I continue pushing through, trusting my team, building this business, and just doing the things that I love, right? And so jumping into what my actual clients experience from this, it has been incredible. They're saving hours each week from implementing systems. They're knowing exactly what to do each day, and they're finally able to focus on what they do best, right? And as I work with coaches and service providers, that is serving their clients, right? And those high priority tasks, those high level strategic tasks, I should say. And so I have countless testimonials from clients who've experienced these same transformations. They've shared how implementing systems has given them back their sanity, right? We all want our sanity back, and allowed them to truly enjoy their businesses again. And so if you're a fellow CEO feeling overwhelmed by the day-to-day, struggling to scale sustainably, or simply dreaming, right? We're dreaming of a more streamlined and enjoyable business, I am absolutely here to help. So let's work together to build a business that supports you, right? Not the other way around. I know firsthand how challenging it can be to scale a business while maintaining your sanity, but I also know that it's absolutely possible. I have living proof of it. There is plenty of other entrepreneurs out there that are living proof. So you don't have to sacrifice your well-being to build a successful business. A lot of us CEOs now, a lot of us entrepreneurs did sacrificed a lot of ourselves as we were growing our businesses. And so I would encourage you that especially if you're just starting out, invest in that coach, invest in those service providers, invest that money into yourself and those things right from the beginning, if that's possible for you. So that way your well-being is definitely like more safeguarded, right? And if you want any recommendations, I have worked with plenty of mentors, service providers, all of that stuff. And myself, of course, right? I'm also a service provider and coach. And so I also have some recommendations. If you're like, I trust Carol Lee, she's got my back, who would she recommend? I can totally send you some connections as well, right? So entrepreneurs supporting entrepreneurs. And so here's the bottom line. By implementing the right systems, okay, and building a strong team, you can create a business that supports you, right? You cannot do it alone. And so by being able to create a strong team, implementing the systems, creating this business that supports you, this allows you to live a fulfilling life, right? The life you want to live. And then it also allows you to make a real impact in the world, right? Which is also probably a side note, like a side mission in your business, right? And so I encourage you to take the first step, right? Acknowledge your limitations, right? That capacity restraints. Embrace some delegation, even if it's just a few things, right? Like 5 hours a month, that can be a lot. You can delegate a lot for 5 hours a month. And then start building the systems that will set you free and on the path to ultimate fulfillment here in your business, right? So I believe in you. Thanks for listening, and I'm going to catch you in the next episode.